The opening of this trade conflict was anything but routine. It didn't arrive as a quiet policy dispute between two neighbors. It struck like a sudden storm, loud, unexpected, and deliberately staged. Long before dawn, President Donald Trump reached for his preferred stage, social media, to announce sweeping tariffs against Canada. No discreet phone calls, no carefully worded letters, just a blunt declaration to the world. On the surface, it looked like another of Trump's hardball tactics, the kind he had used before. But beneath that surface lay something bigger, a clash about power, about endurance, and about sovereignty itself. Trump was convinced Canada would fold. In his mind, Ottawa would protest loudly at first, then quietly compromise once pressure built. He followed a familiar sequence: podium shots, televised warnings, and claims that Canadian industries were hurting American farmers. He even threatened to freeze trade talks unless Canada shifted its foreign policy, including support for Palestinian statehood. But Canada didn't flinch. Under Prime Minister Mark Carney, officials stayed calm. They didn't scramble to rewrite deals or beg for concessions. Instead, they studied the moment, prepared carefully, and responded with timing rather than volume. Then came Trump's escalation. Not a visit from envoys, not a formal letter, but a midnight tweet storm, accusing Canada of tariffs over 200% and suggesting that because the United States provided military protection, economic concessions should naturally follow. The message was unmistakable. Sovereignty, in Trump's eyes, was negotiable. And yet, the choice of targets said it all. France, Britain, and Mexico had followed similar policies without facing such fury. Canada's true offense wasn't numbers, it was independence. Carney's strategy was deliberate. Say little, concede nothing. Let preparation speak louder than reaction. While Trump thrived on confrontation and spectacle, Carney built quiet resilience. Canada stood firm, not out of stubbornness, but out of principle. The contrast was striking. One leader treated sovereignty like currency, the other as non-negotiable. The trade facts told another story. U.S.-Canada trade was among the most balanced in the world, so deeply interwoven that hurting one side almost always hurt the other. Tariffs weren't just punishments. They risked destabilizing shared industries. But Trump wasn't chasing balance. He was chasing a political spectacle, an adversary he could rally against. At home, his timing couldn't have been worse. As tariff salvos launched, U.S. job growth slowed sharply. Revisions erased more than 250,000 positions. Economists pointed directly to trade uncertainty. Businesses simply weren't investing or hiring when rules could shift overnight. Instead of facing the numbers, Trump attacked the statisticians themselves. For Canada, this was an opening. Carney's government invested in domestic steel, aluminum, and manufacturing, emphasizing Canadian labor and resources. The goal wasn't retaliation, it was insulation. Build resilience at home so external shocks carried less weight. At the same time, foreign partners, rattled by U.S. unpredictability, grew more interested in doing business with Canada. Trump pressed on, hoping Canada would tire. But Carney had already secured exemptions, shielding nearly 90% of Canadian exports. That meant Trump's loudest threats carried far less bite than advertised. His playbook, intimidate, pressure, dominate, was colliding with quiet endurance. Meanwhile, Canada widened its circle. While Trump unsettled markets with threats, Ottawa deepened ties abroad. Europe and Asia, searching for stable partners, welcomed Canadian overtures. Trump expected isolation. Instead, Canada grew more connect. The results grew harder to ignore. U.S. job losses mounted. Canadian industries held firm. Trump's tariffs, meant to project strength, instead exposed fragility. Every angry outburst revealed instability rather than control. And then came the turning point. Carney didn't rise to the noise. He flipped the negotiation table, strengthening partnerships overseas until Trump's leverage crumbled. By the time Washington realized, Canada had transformed from potential victim to attractive alternative. What had begun as a show of American dominance ended up demonstrating its limits. Sovereignty could not be bought with threats. Independence, exercised patiently, proved more durable than intimidation. The lesson was clear, not just for Canada, but for the world. True strength is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet persistence. And in this standoff, persistence was the decisive weapon.